Golden Iris Productions presents Missionary Family Adventures, Beneath the Volcano, from the book by Mark F. Dennis. Introduction. This is the story of an American missionary family and their remarkable journey to Japan. It is a story of faith, family, adventure, and growing up between two cultures. It is the story of how an ordinary family from America found themselves living beneath one of the most active volcanoes in the world. The events you are about to hear are not fiction. They are real memories from a childhood spent in the mountains of Japan. They are stories of ocean voyages, mountain trails, train rides, cultural discoveries, and the experiences that shaped an entire family. To understand how we came to live in such an extraordinary place, we begin not in America, but beneath the shadow of a volcano in the Japanese Alps. Historical disclaimer. This series faithfully presents the writings and memories of missionary Dick Dennis. His observations about religion, culture, and society reflect his sincerely held evangelical Christian beliefs during the 1960s. They are presented in their historical context to preserve the authenticity of his family's story and are not intended as commentary on the beliefs of others today. Part 13. Not So Scared. By now, the boys were not 8 years old anymore. They were big 10-year-olds who thought they were afraid of nothing. Running across temple grounds at night and hiding in the hollow tree had become everyday adventures. They were now the ones telling scary stories about demons and obake, Japanese ghosts, to frighten the younger children. The boys were also beginning to test their boundaries. Sneaking a little money from temple offering boxes or shaking the payphone at Teen Center for a few extra coins was about as mischievous as they became. They were still good kids, but they were learning that growing up also meant making mistakes. The Haunted Hut. Halfway up the hill from Team Center was an old abandoned house on the Suntory property that became known as the Haunted Hut. The boys loved exploring the rotten old building, showing off their karate skills by breaking boards and punching holes through the walls. It was dangerous, but to them it was an exciting adventure. The old pre-war house was falling apart from years of neglect, termites, and decay. The boys had no idea how unsafe it really was. Later that year, the haunted hut finally collapsed, but thankfully, no one was inside when it came down. Ghost stories. The boys loved telling younger children stories about yurei and obake, Japanese ghosts said to haunt the area. Inspired by spooky television programs and local legends, they created their own ghost stories about haunted places, mysterious sightings, and strange happenings around Karuizawa. One night, Mark learned that scary stories could come back around. Walking alone down the dark road near the haunted hut, he heard a deep growl getting closer and louder. Just as he feared the worst, the terrifying roar turned into laughter. It was Mom hiding nearby and giving him the scare of his life. The Shrunken Head. One of the strangest stories from Team Center involved Jeff, who discovered what looked like a doll's head near the river. After taking it to the local leather shop, the owner examined it carefully and announced that it appeared to be a genuine human shrunken head. Jeff carried the strange discovery home in a bag on his bicycle. As he crossed the old bridge or the Anglican church, he encountered a group of people in black robes, chanting and clapping. As he rode through them, the chanting grew louder and faster, and moments later, they had mysteriously disappeared. Frightened by what had happened, Jeff hurried home, dug a deep hole, burned the bag, and buried the strange object. But the next morning, he discovered the hole had been dug up, and the shrunken head was gone. The mystery of what really happened was never forgotten. The Three-Wheeled Truck. During the summer, Many missionary families and teenagers lived at TEAM Center. Some older boys discovered an abandoned three-wheeled truck, a leftover from the war years. With a small two-stroke motorcycle engine, they worked on it until it finally started running. Once the old truck came back to life, the teenagers drove it all around the compound like they owned the place. To the younger boys watching, it was the ultimate adventure, a glimpse of the freedom and excitement they hoped to experience someday when they were older. Koji's motorcycle. After the Dennis family returned to Karuizawa, Koji, the man who had shared so many airplane stories with Mark, began building a new house next door. Mark spent hours watching as the house slowly took shape, from the wooden frame and roof to the walls, windows, and beautiful tongue-and-groove flooring. He was fascinated by how things were built. Koji also had an old 50cc Honda Cub motorcycle with a frozen engine that he planned to throw away. Curious about how things worked, Mark asked if he could have it. With help from Kit, another missionary kid who understood engines, Mark began learning how motorcycles worked. Just like the watch he had taken apart years earlier, Mark couldn't resist exploring the inside of the motorcycle engine. Before long, the engine was scattered into pieces across the floor. Although he did not always know how to put things back together, his curiosity and desire to understand how things worked never stopped. Mark and the motorcycle. The next summer, Mark discovered an abandoned motorcycle covered in vines along the road. After checking that it was mostly intact, he walked it several miles home and began another restoration project. This time, he wanted to see if he could actually make it run. After several days of work, Mark and his friends had the old 50cc dirt bike running. They rode it around TEAM Center and the hills behind the house until one day it stopped working near town. As Mark pushed it down the hill, he suddenly found himself walking into a very unexpected situation. Mark and the Princess. As mentioned in an earlier segment, around the corner was a group of police officers protecting a Japanese princess. When they saw Mark with the motorcycle, questions quickly followed. Another missionary helped translate, and the police suspected the motorcycle might have been stolen. After the princess passed by, the police took 14-year-old Mark to the station. After questioning and fingerprinting him, they confiscated the motorcycle and sent him home. Afraid of what his parents would say, Mark quietly climbed through his bedroom window and went to bed, until Dad found out and gave him a serious lesson. The smell of leaves burning. As autumn arrived in Karuizawa, the evenings became cooler and the days grew shorter. The children played outside until their parents called them home. They built giant leaf piles, played games in the woods, and enjoyed the familiar autumn tradition of burning leaves around TEAM Center, a smell that would never be forgotten. The forests and cabins around TEAM Center were perfect playgrounds for childhood adventures. Games like Kick the Can and Steal the Flag filled the afternoons as children disappeared among the trees and hiding places. These simple moments became some of the greatest memories of missionary kid life. The creek, below the Dennis home near the Coles cabin, flowed a cold spring-fed creek through the woods. The children built dams with rocks to create deeper pools for splashing and exploring. Beneath the rocks, they discovered tiny freshwater crabs, another treasure from their endless outdoor adventures. The creek, the woods, and the hills around TEAM Center became a world of discovery for the Dennis children. Every rock, insect, and hidden trail offered a new adventure. These were the days when imagination turned an ordinary mountain town into a place filled with wonder. Part 14. Off to Tokyo. After a wonderful summer in Karuizawa, it was time for Kathy, Mark, and Nathan to leave for boarding school near Tokyo. They would attend the Christian Academy in Japan,
known as CAJ, while living at the TEAM Hostel with other missionary children from across Japan. The long drive to Tokyo was especially difficult for young Nathan. As the family prepared to leave him at the hostel, he became overwhelmed with emotion. Watching his parents drive away toward the mountains was one of the hardest moments of his young life. The dorm parents, Uncle Lyle and Aunt Alice Peterson, cared for about 30 missionary children and even had a little chihuahua named Taco. Before long, the Dennis children made new friends, adjusted to hostel life, and began feeling at home.
Inside TEAM Hostel. The TEAM Hostel was carefully organized with separate wings for boys and girls upstairs and the family living areas downstairs. Like every Japanese home, everyone removed their shoes at the entrance before beginning the routines of daily life. A central staircase divided the boys' and girls' sides of the dormitory. Bedrooms, bathrooms, and long hallways overlooked bamboo forests, sports fields, and neighboring homes. Every corner of the hostel would soon become familiar to the missionary kids who lived there. At the end of each hallway stood shelves filled with National Geographic magazines and a complete encyclopedia set. Whenever he had free time, Mark eagerly read through the magazines and eventually worked his way from A to Z through the entire encyclopedia collection.
No picnic. Life at the hostel was anything but easy. Every child had assigned chores, daily room inspections, and strict schedules. Living away from home taught responsibility, discipline, and the importance of working together as one large family. Every morning at 6 o'clock, music echoed through the hallways as the children woke up. Whether it was the Carpenters, John Denver, or Andre Crouch singing "I've Got It," everyone knew it was time to get out of bed and start the day. After getting dressed and making their beds, the children spent 15 minutes in Bible reading and prayer. Then came room inspection. Beds had to be perfectly made. Nothing could be hidden under them, and any mistakes earned extra chores. Breakfast. At 7 o'clock, everyone gathered around the long tables for breakfast. Every seat was assigned, every place setting carefully arranged, and meals were orderly and quiet. Good manners and discipline were simply part of everyday life at TEAM Hostel. After breakfast, the children hurried off to school. Younger students rode in the hostel van, while older students biked or rode motorcycles. Rainy mornings often made the younger children grateful for their warm ride to school.
Through the bamboo forest. The walk to the van stop led through a beautiful bamboo forest. On clear winter mornings, Mount Fuji could be seen in the distance. During the fall, chestnut trees lined the road, and vendors sold steaming hot chestnuts and sweet potatoes to passing children. The Christian Academy in Japan was a large international school with more than 300 students. Nathan entered first grade, Mark joined Mrs. Vreeland's fourth grade class, and Kathy began sixth grade. Together, they started another exciting chapter of life in Japan.
To be continued. I would like to introduce another source that has helped preserve the story of our family's missionary years. Memoirs of a Missionary, Bringing True Light to the Land of the Rising Sun, tells the story of my father, Dick Dennis, and his decades of missionary service in Japan. Drawing from his journals, prayer letters, and personal memories, the book records the challenges, victories, and everyday experiences of sharing the gospel while living among the Japanese people. Many of the events presented throughout this series are drawn from these first-hand accounts. If you would like to explore the story in greater detail, simply scan the QR code or visit the book on Amazon. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this presentation, please take a moment to like, subscribe, and share this video with others. For more content, visit my 2 YouTube channels. Mark F. Dennis at Golden Iris Knowledge Quest, where we explore physics, cosmology, science, and emerging ideas about the structure of the universe. And Mark F. Dennis at Golden Iris Religion Quest, where we examine religion, spirituality, biblical studies, Jewish mysticism, and the history of religious thought. Your support helps these channels continue to grow and allows me to create more presentations, books, and educational content. Thank you again for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.